Audrey is my name, and this story is called Last Rites. I was raised Catholic, but not really that kind of Catholic. I was more kind of like public school Catholic, if you will. My friend, Christine, well, her full name was Mary Christine McLaughlin. Well, she went to parochial school, and she told me that the nuns could tell if you were public school Catholic or parochial school Catholic just by how deeply you genuflected when you entered the pew. And if you couldn't give yourself away then, I see some nods over there. Public school Catholics let their butt touch the bench when they kneel. A fellow public schooler over there. Oh boy. But we were Catholic enough to go to Mass every Sunday. And we had the craziest bunch of priests. We had this real mixed lot of jumbo bin of priests. So we had Father Bob, who I have no idea why he called himself Father Bob, because everything else about him was incredibly formal. He loved to do a high Mass. Give him a chance, he would do a high Mass anytime. He had hand-embroidered vestry. I mean, everything he did up big. So when he came in and he did the processional, he's come, he's Father Bob. And when he did the Mass and did prepare the communion, this guy was showing it. Hey, look at the lovely vestments, right? Yeah. So he was all flash polish and pomp and circumstance. Then we had Father Kelly. Well, Father Kelly watched through everything. My dad nicknamed him Father Quick Mass because he would just get you out. You see him on a beautiful June day, you go, oh, it's Father Quick Mass. We're getting out of here in 20 minutes. It was great. But my mom, she was raised that kind of Catholic. In fact, before she met my dad, she was going to be a nun. And yeah, she had actually picked out her name. Oh, yeah. Another Catholic. So, naturally, when religious questions would come up, we'd go to my mom, the expert on these things. And so, the first time we had a death in the family was a kitty. And one of our kitties passed away. So we went to my mom and said, Mom, do cats go to heaven? Well, that is like one of the toughest theological questions, right? Do cats go to heaven? And what do you say to a little kid that's asked that question? So my mom answered it really, really well. She said, well, the church says that animals only have souls that stay with them. They have body souls. And when they pass away, their soul is gone. Humans have spiritual souls, and they go on to heaven. So, according to the church, no, they wouldn't go to heaven. But you know what, kids? I can't imagine heaven without kitties, could you? But that was my mom. She was a love bug. I mean, she was the kind of mom that just always welcomed everybody. She always had room enough. I remember sometimes we'd be bickering about who could sit next to her closer, And she'd say, don't fight, there's plenty enough love to go around. And, it wasn't just for her own kids, it was like for everybody's kids. And, I remember one time my brother picked up a hitchhiker. He was in college and he picked up a hitchhiker. My mom was like, my kid looks skinny. Hey, stay for Sunday dinner. And we had this big Sunday dinner, and the kid was like, wow, I think I'm in the Waltons. My mom was just like one of these people who wasn't afraid of showing affection or reaching out to people in pain. One time we were driving, and we saw a fire. And my mom pulled over the side of the road to see what's going on. And there was a young woman just sobbing on the roadside. Nobody knew who she was or if she had anything to do with that house, but she was just sobbing on the roadside. And my mom didn't say anything to her. She just went over to her and held her and let her sob. And she said, that's why I was driving on that road that night. That's the kind of love bug my mom was. So, we all did drift away from the church, you know. And even my mom, who had, you know, grown up so religious, she did drift away too. She stopped going to mass. My dad passed away, leaving her as a widow at 45. And she did a lot of deep thinking at that point in time. And one of the things she did was she wrote a living will. Because she thought about it, she said, I do not want to be a burden on my children. I do not want to be a lump. If I'm no longer there, put me out. I don't want to be a drag on your kids. She was so explicit about it, so absolute about it, that 25 years later, when unfortunately she had a cataclysmic stroke, we all knew what she wanted. There was no question. We were all really comfortable with that's what she would want. But still, it was tough. And we had this doctor who was young, and my mom was doing fairly well, and he convinced us to put her on this thing to help her breathe for just a little while, get her over the hump, you know. And he was rooting for her. It was really funny because he got really attached to her, even though he hadn't even met her except when she was unconscious. But somehow he had picked up on her spirit, and so it was actually really, really hard for him. It became obvious to us what was going on, and then it was time to let it go. He couldn't tell us that. We kept kind of giving him hints, you know, and he just couldn't do it. He finally ended up having to have his boss come and tell us. And he cried. He actually teared up and cried. And my sister ended up consoling the doctor. So there we were. We said, well, we were raised Catholic. Mom was raised very Catholic. We need to do last rites. So we asked for a priest. So the priest comes in. I am not lying. He has a blackberry on a halter. Oh yeah, it gets better. Fanny pack around his belly. And he walks in. I mean, he didn't say it, but I'm thinking to myself, he's thinking, where's the dead person? Yeah. What the heck? So, and I swear, in that fanny pack, that's where he probably had his traveling altar. I mean, it was deep. All of a sudden, everyone was, oh my God, it's Father Quickmass's friends. And you want Father Quickmass on a lovely June day, you don't want him on your last day. Father Quickmass starts taking out his stuff, getting out his little oils and stuff and putting them all out. And his blackberry rings. I'm not kidding. His blackberry, oh, it gets better. He says, excuse me, I have to answer this. Seriously. He took a call. What could be more important than getting everybody their last rites? It's like, I mean, hey, even I who drifted knows this isn't right, you know. So he finally did it. Then I mean, you know, Mom, she couldn't confess or take communion, so all he could do was the blessing. And so he left, thank heavens. So then it was time for us to say goodbye. So we all stood there, each of us in our own way. My sister talking to my mother, doing a full conversation with her as if she was still there, chatting away. And my brother holding her hand and just lightly stroking it like she was some sort of frightened kitty. And me sitting off on the windowsill, distant, aching, really just wishing my mom could hold me. Yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I'm not Catholic anymore. I'm not even sure that there's a heaven. But if there is a heaven, there's kitties there.